Welcome to B-Flow Sessions, the podcast where we help you find and stay in the flow on the water and in life. I'm your host, Brad Burton. Join me as I sit down with paddlers, athletes, and adventurers who are all seeking the flow. B-Flow Sessions is brought to you by our friends at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Are you dreaming of a Chilean whitewater escape this winter? Picture turquoise rapids, warm sunny days, and world-class rivers for every skill level, all based out of a riverside retreat built by paddlers for paddlers. If that sounds like your kind of winter, then Pecan Kayak Retreat is the place. To learn more or to book your dream kayak trip, reach out to me directly at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get connected. B-Flow Sessions is powered by Dagger Kayaks. Wherever there's water, Dagger Kayaks will help you find your flow. Team-tested, paddler-proven designs for all paddlers and all water. And thanks to our partners at Sawyer Paddles, Stohlquist PFDs, and Level 6 Gear for keeping us in the flow. Welcome to the next episode of B-Flow Sessions, and I am joined in this session with an old friend of mine. We used to teach kayaking and travel to compete together and things. One of the best kayakers in so many different disciplines. I am pleased to be joined with Aleta McCleskey, formerly Aleta Miller, that some people might know her as.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, it is really difficult to make a U.S. team in any sport, but in kayaking, it's no different. It's very difficult to make a U.S. team. Aleta has been a member of lots of different disciplines. She's been a member of the U.S. slalom team, the freestyle team, and the surf team. That's pretty incredible. She was a medalist in the pre-worlds in 2000 in Spain, and then went on to be fourth in the world championships. Well, in the year previous, she was fourth in the world championships in '99 in New Zealand. Silver medalist in surf kayaking, and now she's a nurse, a wife, a mother, and looks to find time to get on the river with her 5 and 8-year-old boys whenever she can. So again, welcome to B-Flow Sessions, Aleta.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me today.
Yeah. So tell us how you found your flow, how you began kayaking.
I grew up at the Ocoee River, which most everybody is familiar with. I lived there since I was 3. Both my parents worked at rafting companies growing up, so I just ran around. It was kind of a different time. I was just let roam free pretty much and play. And when I got older, I just started hitching rides on rafting trips all day long. And when I started to kayak and got to where I could ride in the Ocoee, I would hitch a ride on the rafting trips and kayak all day long and just go round and round with the trips.
Awesome. Yeah. So that had to be quite the childhood. And growing and being a child of the 80s and 90s, that was kind of a high time on the Ocoee too, where the eddies were filled with, just some of the top paddlers in the world, whether it was slalom, extreme, or freestyle.
Oh yeah, we had a group of young punks that ran around together with David Grubbs, Nathan McDade, Jeremy Atkins, just a bunch of us all pushing each other to be better. And we had adults that were amazing there every day to watch, with like Keith Lyles, Mark Lyle. You were slightly older than me there, and out there as well.
Yeah.
And if we go way back, you got like Bob McDonough and Woody Catalay, and all those guys were out there too. Clay Wright.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And then so so at what point did you decide that you wanted to compete in kayaking, and why so many different disciplines? There's some people like EJ and folks who do kind of multiple, but a lot of people focus on just one, but you really went across a lot of different disciplines there.
I just love to compete and push myself, and I had the access to go. The Olympics came to the Ocoee in 1996.
Yeah.
The lead up to that, a couple years beforehand, the World Cup started going there, and I was probably 12 or 13 when they started going, and my dad was real involved in the safety for those, so I got to get
Okay.
up close and personal out on the course, and just fascinated by them. And then the Worlds for Freestyle in the early 90s was there as well.
Right.
So I got to see that, and there were, people were just, I was blessed to be able to go to the river every day with different people from different abilities and different aspects. So one day I might be out there with a slalom crew, or going to a race that they took me to wherever, all over the United States. And then the next day I'd be out there with freestyle. So, it was just access and the drive to want to get better and be out there with my friends. And there was people there for whatever I wanted to do.
I interviewed Joe Jacoby, and he mentioned a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And he talked about his generation, those guys all living in that DC area
Mm-hmm.
in the mid 80s to early 90s. And, had they been a little older or a little younger, they would have missed out on like that 92 Olympics
Mm-hmm.
and things. And I think like our generation, kind of the same way you mentioned all those people growing up on the Ocoee, and then also like, Andrew Holcomb, who's going to be on one of the episodes, growing up on the Nantahala, and then me coming down the Nantahala as a kid. We really hit that special, unique time when we were young enough coming into the sport where there was money in the sport for
Mm-hmm.
freestyle. And we were able to travel and things where if you were a little bit older than us, you might have missed the boat design revolution.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit younger than us, you missed the money. Now, obviously, some of them still were able to do that, but talk about what that was like, just that whole late 90s, early 2000s, that rodeo scene, and touring and traveling.
It was a whirlwind. They gave us a car and a gas card, and I was pretty young at the time, and just go have fun and paddle well and talk to people. And obviously, you're in a car with flames down the side of it, you're going to be looked at. So I got to travel all over the United States multiple years in a row with some of my best friends, going kayaking everywhere.
Yeah, those were great days, and just nothing to worry about except gas in the tank and food
Mm-hmm.
in the belly and
Mm-hmm.
getting to the next river. That was the only worries in life.
Yes, it's very different now.
Yeah, but in a good way, right? I mean, we're intended to grow up. That's kind of what you're supposed to do in your early 20s, and then
Oh yeah.
you kind of evolve as people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, as you kind of talked about your start, you talked about a lot of your mentors. Any other mentors in kayaking, whether it's slalom or freestyle, that you would like to talk about?
When I was really young, I had Miss B from Miss B's Purple Bus at the Ocoee. She took me to a ton of rivers and my first race. And then there was a gentleman, Dieter Kuberg, out of Chattanooga, and his son was a couple years older than me, and he had a house at the Nantahala, and he would drive by and pick me up at the Ocoee and take me to the Nantahala for workouts and for training events and races. And then he took me to, with his son, two of my first junior slalom trials in New Hampshire,
Okay.
and just really supported me through coaching and also financially in the travels, because my family wasn't able to support that at the time. So to give me the opportunities to go do what I wanted to do and to show me how to better compete and paddle. And I had a training partner in his son who was a couple years older than me.
Okay. Very cool. Perfect flow. Tell me about some times when everything was just perfect. You know, either the perfect day, the perfect rapid, the perfect run, whatever the case may be, but just a day that sticks out to you amongst the many of your life. That's one of those memorable days.
Uh, it's hard to put it specifically on a one run or one event, but there's times when I in training or an event where just everything comes together, whether it be slalom or freestyle. I had some rides leading up to the final in New Zealand that were just really good. The end wasn't so good, but there was also other circumstances there that weren't great. Uh, One of the athletes passed away right before the finals, and um, in slalom, even today, you'll go and hit that perfect eddy turn. That's just
Yeah.
you nailed it, and it feels amazing. It keeps you going out there every day. Now it's more for the being outside with my friends and family, but
Right.
still you'll go out there and have that perfect move or perfect sequence that just makes it feel like it's effortless.
And I don't know about you, but being older, I left the sport for 20 years and now getting back into it. I know you didn't have that much of a time away from it, but still, not paddling it like you did in your early 20s, right? Just the little things are so enjoyable, like you mentioned in an eddy turn, especially like in a half slice or something longer, just carving it into an eddy, dropping the stern a little bit, peeling out, like something you wouldn't even think about in your early 20s is now like really fun, even like
Yeah.
on Mananahala.
Oh yeah, it's. I'm just happy to be out there, even on the Tuck Gorge, which is just
Yep.
down the street. Like spending the day out there. There's some eagles that live on that section that you see most days, and just not having to worry about day to day details that you have to if you're not on the river. Adult things, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Everything melts away with the flow when you're on the river for
Oh
sure.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, what about sometimes when things didn't go well for you on the river, or something didn't go as planned, or wasn't such a great day? Any day is. They always say a bad day on the river is better than a good day at work, but sometimes when maybe things did not go as planned.
Well, every bad story has a or bad trip has a good story, I guess.
Yep, that's why we want to hear it.
Yeah. There was a time in the late '90s that it flooded at the Ocoee, and a bunch of us went to Rock Island. This was before you had reliable ways to get information on flows, and you're like, oh, the dam is spilling. You call the 1-800 number, and you get
Yep.
you get in the car and drive 3 hours. And you're like, holy crap! Yeah, the dam is spilling way too big. It was
Mm.
January. It was cold outside, so we just decided to find somewhere else. We ended up on the Cane Creek, North Chick of in Chattanooga. But this was before cell phones, before GPS, before InReach, before any of that. So of course,
Yeah.
in young 20, late teen style, we just put on. We didn't tell anybody where we were going, what we were doing. It was late in the day. Water was really big. We were all in playboats. Some people swam.
Mm.
We ended up being caught out at dark in freezing temperature. Just ended up getting off the river for safety reasons and started hiking. We hiked all
Oh my
night.
gosh.
Nobody knew where we were. Everybody just knew we didn't come home. It was some pretty high profile names in the group with like
Yeah.
Keith Lyles was there, David Grubbs, his brother was there, Nathan McDade, Karen Mann, and we just wandered around through the woods of Chattanooga, which is I guess now a state park. Um, and finally was able to build a fire and hunker down, but it was still, somebody didn't have shoes,
Oh my gosh.
typical playboater style, I doubt everybody had dry tops on. And the next morning we woke up, and of course, we're only like 100 yards from the car. And they'd found our car in the middle of the night and had already put on before dawn to try to find us.
Oh gosh.
And there had been people searching all over the southeast, every river that they could think of to find us, and everybody was fine. And we had great stories of the night. Somebody got a new couch and they couldn't be home to be on it. Just crazy middle of the night ramblings. So
Right.
yeah,
That is fantastic. I mean, being friends with everybody you just mentioned there, and you and I spent some times, quite a bit of time in those Subarus you mentioned, and I had never heard that story. So
Um,
I'm glad you saved that one for 20 plus years later to tell, because that's pretty epic.
yeah.
Um, what about low flow? Sometimes when you've been away from the sport for various reasons.
Well, there's definitely been that. I've had two shoulder surgeries, two children, went to nursing school. Uh, be it having the shoulder surgeries, I didn't have children at the time, and you can just work through that and do your rehab and that sort of thing, and come back a couple months later. But with the children, that's taken 5, 8 years to start turning back around to coming out to the river, and the river is a different experience now. Taking my children down it, class 2 is full on when you're taking
Yeah,
your 5-year-old down it, making sure he's okay and everybody's got what they need, and uh, but it's still an amazing thing just to be out on the water and enjoying it, and coming back to it with a different perspective of I don't need to be the best out there or push myself. I just want to have a good time and have
yeah,
my kids enjoy it, and not have to think about running a business or taking care of sick patients or the laundry. Just being out there to enjoy it.
yeah. And that kind of brings us to the next segment, which is the current. And you mentioned getting to take vacations with your family and enjoying the outdoors with family. Where are some of the places you've gotten to travel with your family?
Uh, we went on a 3-week trip to Moab back in
Mm,
March with the kids, and my 8-year-old's really getting into mountain biking, so
oh,
that
cool.
was super exciting for him. We did quite a few of the intermediate mountain bike trails there with the family, and we still have one of those front shotgun riders that you put on the front, and the kid rides in front of the.
Yeah.
So either me or Scott rides Link in the front, and if it gets kind of difficult and he can't ride his bike, but it's hilarious. He's like, "Whoa, look at this! This is awesome!" and leaning and like jumping and all this. And then Atticus is just super stoked. He sits around and watches YouTube videos on mountain biking all day long, and
Oh my
he
gosh.
isn't out there doing it. So that was pretty epic. And we got to do some slot canyons that while we were out there. And Link is 5, and he's just now getting into mountain biking some, and he's able to ride, you know, trails, easy trails. So
Sure.
Moab has a bunch of different, like pump track and rail, like paved trails that go for miles all over, and
Okay.
one of them was right next to the campsite. So and there's places you can go 4x4, and even in our big dually truck, which is kind of sketchy, but the whole
Right.
family gets to spend time together away, and
Yeah.
just going and seeing and doing and enjoying life. So we try to do at least one of those big trips a year, and still make the pilgrimage to the Ocoee for a 10-day jaunt. Take them to the Hiwassee, and my mom usually comes, and we're able to
Oh,
go
cool.
to actually spend time with Scott and I on the river without the kids,
Hmm.
enjoying seeing everybody, and we get a camp spot, and people can come and go, and it's like going home for the week.
You mentioned.
Let's eddy out and take a quick break. Do you need a break from the cold of a North American winter? Then let's head south to the best whitewater on earth at Pecan Kayak Retreat. Email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com to learn more about how you can take the ultimate paddling adventure in the heart of Chile. Now let's peel out and head downstream.
Scott, your husband, who was an incredible, I'm sure he's still an incredible paddler, but in his prime, he was an incredible C1 racer and did a lot of extreme and downriver too. Uh, Tell us a little bit about how you guys met and how the river kind of connected you all.
I met Scott when I was in my early teens, probably at the Ocoee, just in passing. I was there every day, and he's from Georgia, so he was there quite often. And and then when my first year on the junior team, we went to Europe. That would have been '96, and he was on the junior team too. So we became friends. We were about the only Southerners on the team, so just somebody else to talk to and whatever. And just crossed paths until I guess it's about 19. We started 19 or 20. We started dating and traveling all over the world and
Yeah.
rivers, and we've been married 23 years, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's really cool.
we're still doing the adventuring thing. Before we had kids, we got to do a couple Grand Canyon trips and some
Mhm.
other Western rivers, and just spending time as much as we can out and about in the world. We also own a business together, licensed general contracting business, rough to finish,
Okay.
and starting a couple other ventures together currently.
Very cool.
So we try to flow through life as best we can, with the kids and spending time outside. It's a balancing act for sure.
Do you,
Between
do you
all.
find that lessons you learn, do you find lessons you learn on the river and through paddling apply to other things in life?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's certain times owning a business or having kids or with your health or whatever that you're just like, man, is this ever gonna end? And I'm just getting beat down all day long, And then it's just like that perfect eddy turn, You come out one day, or an experience happens, and you're like, oh man, that was amazing. I had to go through that hard part to get to the good stuff.
That's true. Yeah. Makes the good stuff all the much better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So flow advice. What advice would you give? You got two groups of people here. One is a new paddler, could be of any age,
Mm-hmm.
somebody just getting into the sport. And another bit of advice is somebody who's a little bit more seasoned in age, but has been out of the sport for a while and is getting back into it.
For the new one, I would say just keep at it, and for the older one, even if you're coming back at it, it's going to be difficult with kayaking and with life. Put your eye on the prize, keep your eye where you want to go, keep your head up, paddle forward,
Mhm.
and it, even if you get a little discouraged, I tell my 8-year-old all the time, when in doubt, paddle harder, because
Yes.
if you're just floating, you're gonna get eaten up, and that's the same thing in life.
Yep.
If you're hitting, the waves are gonna hit you, the bad things. But if you have your eye on the prize and you're paddling forward, then you're a lot more
Sitting up
likely
tall and you're,
tall. Then you're a lot more likely to get to where you want to go. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, don't sit back on that stern in life and on the river, right?
no, no.
I love it. Well, are you ready to run the rapids with me?
Sure.
All right. Well, get your paddle, put the spray skirt on. So this is our Mount Rushmore rapid fire segment. So I'm going to throw out a topic of paddling,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to give me your Mount Rushmore, your first, your top 3 to 5 things that come to mind.
Okay.
All right. Kayak designs of all time.
Let's see. I'm really enjoying the Ripper right now. as a slalom racer,
Yeah.
I really liked the Ultrafuge. Was pretty awesome when I was a kid. Uh, as a playboat, I haven't paddled many of the new playboat designs. And the short slalom boats are just amazing. They're like
Wow.
riding. They're like a race car.
Yeah. Well, I've got to give a shameless plug then. You have to get it. If you like the Ultrafuge, You got to get yourself in a Nova.
Yeah,
You will you will instantly be in love.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Rivers of all time.
Oh, the Grand Canyon is way up there. That's pretty obvious. The Ocoee, because that's my home. Uh, the Middle Fork of the Salmon.
Mm,
Uh, the South Island in New Zealand was pretty amazing. I got to do a couple heli supported trips down there when I was a
nice.
teenager. Uh, Slalom courses of all time would it be like Bourg Saint Maurice, France. Just
Okay.
huge water, beautiful town, beautiful area, beautiful food. Just all time. And now being my age, I appreciate that stuff way more than I did at the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
What about some play spots or rapids? Like, it doesn't have to be the whole river, but
uh, let's see, play spots. Um, Full James in New Zealand was pretty good as a wave. The Ottawa, anything on the
yeah,
Ottawa.
just the whole thing.
The whole
Yeah,
thing. You name it is good.
yeah,
Uh, the Rock Island, as a kid, as an adult, probably not so much.
yeah,
After two shoulder surgeries, a little thumpy for me. Um,
yeah,
Big waves is what I like now.
for sure.
Choose any big waves, even just front surfing for long periods of time and enjoying the flow of the water under you and uh, carving back and forth. The Golly,
Yeah.
the Golly and the Ripper. I went there. I hadn't been there in 11 years. I went there this past September, and I never thought the Golly could be that scary. But after 11 years and a couple of kids, I definitely had the nerves going. But
Yeah.
just keeping your eye on the prize and paddling forward through the, get to the bottom of the raft, and you're like, holy cow, this is way bigger than I remember it being.
And the last time I was here, I was in a playboat, and it wasn't this
Yeah,
big.
yeah, but there's just a ton of waves on the fly there, especially on the lower, which I only ran
Yes.
like once before. Because, all my friends are like, we're never going to go down there. But now,
Yep.
I'm like, it's awesome. There's
Yes.
tons of just glassy waves to surf and fun things to do and just loving it out there. And the fast boat. I don't know
Yes.
about I don't know about the playboat out there right now, but I'd have to spend some time in it for that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could just like carry one with you to when you get to like ledges or
Oh,
whatever, that would be good.
yeah, that would be.
Yeah. What about a river that you never got on that you would like to do at some point?
Uh, Now that I have kids, there's a ton of multi-days out west that I would like to do that are like class 2, like the San Juan, class 2,
Mm,
3, uh, Canyonlands, the
the
cataracts,
green out there.
yeah, the green,
Hmm.
um, the Maine salmon. I never got to do
Yeah.
that. And rowing those big boats is just amazing. Like it's so hard, but
Yes.
so rewarding to do. So it's as rewarding to me as going out and paddling the kayak down the river. It's just getting those big barges from here to there, and if you're gonna wreck, it's way beforehand. Just
Yeah.
it's real slow.
And it's going to be full on wreck.
Yes.
I mean, of all the things you can take down a whitewater river, a kayak is by far the easiest.
Hmm.
Like people think rafting, like no, rafting is so much harder than kayaking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We
Yeah.
flipped a raft on the Grand, and I knew like Scott was rowing, and I knew like way ahead of time that it was gonna be really bad, and I was like, oh my god, and he's like, I can't do anything about it, I'm trying as hard as I can. You know,
Right.
then you have an 18-foot gear on top of you, and
Oh,
you've been thinking about it for literally minutes because you're like going so slow that you're like, oh, it's about to eat me, it's gonna be so bad. In a kayak, you're like, I can get away from that. I can, like being in a sports car, I can get here or
right.
there or wherever I
Or
want
if I
to.
can, I take the hit and I roll up at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't rolling one of those.
No,
No, it's like a school.
not at all. Yeah. All right. So some people think this is a little controversial, but I like to ask the best paddlers of all time,
Oh, the best paddlers.
any discipline.
I would have to say Scott Shipley is way up there. Um, and oh gosh, Clay Wright. I mean, he's timeless.
Timeless.
Yes, he took me to my first big event. I was like 15, and he took him and I think Eric Zitzow took me to where were we? We were in D.C. at the Potomac
Okay.
Festival, and he took me to that event when I was 15 years old, and now I'm 45, and he's still out there giving it with the best of them.
And he seemed old then, right?
He was way older than me when I was,
Yeah, I told him that when I was like,
yeah,
when I was 20, you were old and you're still kayaking.
yeah. I mean,
And he wasn't that old, I guess, too,
I guess
really,
not, but to me, at 15, he
yeah.
was way older than me, and he loaded me up and took me up there, and between him and Eric Zitzel and Shane Benedict, they gave me boats. I paddled every class I could find. I did the upstream and the downstream and the races and the freestyle events and the squirt boating and the falls race, and the whole time Clay's like, here's the boat, here's where you go, this is how you do it. And now he's still out there, he's still doing that, still fired up
We'll
on
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could say he's impacted more people uh, in kayaking personally, one-on-one, than maybe anybody else.
Oh
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, there's many times that he's been through my paddling career, especially when I was younger, that he was on the bank encouraging or telling me how to do this or that, or even like through some pretty rough times, he's like, yeah, it's all good, there's another day, you're out here,
Yep.
you're doing it. He's always been very positive and encouraging.
Anybody else that comes to mind?
Uh, I mean, Woody Calloway, Risa
Mm,
Calloway, both of
yeah.
them are pretty timeless, and are still, like, Risa's still very involved in the sport.
Yeah.
The freestyle, uh, she's just been very supportive. She was supportive of me in my career. Um, Keith Lyles and Mark Lyle were always very involved, and I still see them. I go back to the Ocoee, and Mark has been there the past couple of years, which has been awesome
Yeah.
to see him.
I've reached out to Mark to try to get him on here. I was like, it would be like a
Good
personal
luck.
prize if I could get Mark Lyle on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't
He's
think
like,
so.
no. He's like, no.
There's no
He's like,
way.
if I change my mind, I'll let you know. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I doubt he even has like a Facebook account, much less.
No, I don't think he does. I
Yeah.
don't think he does.
Yeah, no, there's no way. There's no way. So,
Uh, we'll see. We'll see. I'm holding out hope eventually.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that would be the
all
first.
right. Yeah. Last question. We call it final flow.
Hmm.
If the river gods came down and they said, Alita, you get to kayak, you only get to kayak one more time in your life. But the good news is you get to pick what period of life you're in, at least for your skills and your body. And you get to pick your river, you get to pick your boat, and you get to pick your crew.
Ah, that's hard. That's hard, but I would say early 20s, late teens. uh, the Grand Canyon. Scott would be there, obviously. My husband, Jeff West, because I can have anybody.
You can have anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Ennis, because I
Nice.
don't want to be in charge of anything. I want him to do it all. I just want to go
Yeah.
kayaking and he can figure out all the logistics about where we stop and what we eat and all that stuff. I just want to be enjoying it because, you know, in today's life, there's a lot more logistics. I want somebody else to take care of all that. And Chris Yario, who's been one of my best friends and pal and friends through the years. She's still living over at the Ocoee. I think she's a cardiac nurse practitioner now.
Okay.
So we'll get to paddle with her still some. And she has been on a grand trip with me before, and
Oh, cool.
she'd be just fun to be with. You know, have a good time out on the water. And of course, if I could invite, I'd like to invite everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's your final flow. You can invite whoever you want.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, Alita, this has been just a joy to catch up and get to see you and talk to you again. We've got to get on the river sometime soon. I'm making a lot more trips down there to Western North Carolina, so
Yeah.
we got to hit it at a time when you're not in the hospital, working in the hospital.
Yeah.
Not that you're in there as a patient, but working in the hospital. We got to find a time when you're off and get on the river, get over the Ocoee like the old days.
Yeah, definitely. Hit me up next time you're in the area. Meet the kids, go biking.
That'd be great. I road bike. I haven't mountain biked in a long time, but I do a little road biking. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me, and
Thanks for being on.
thank you. And hopefully we can catch up in person here shortly.
That sounds great. All right. Thanks, Alita, for being on B-Flow Sessions.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of B-Flow Sessions, where we explore how paddlers find their flow on the water and in life. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, leave a rating, or share it with a friend. It truly helps us grow the community. And a huge thank you to Pecan Kayak Retreat for sponsoring today's episode. If you're ready for a world-class Chilean whitewater adventure, email me at bflowkayak@gmail.com and I'll help you get dialed in. Until next time, keep finding your flow.